Welcome to the deep dive. Let's imagine a household for a second. Pretty busy place.
Okay.
And the head of the family, they've made some quite generous promises, free amenities, maybe some cash handouts, even some shiny new things for everyone.
Sounds pretty good on the surface.
Right. But then, the bills start piling up faster than the money's coming in. And those savings they thought they had, well, they're just not really there.
It's a classic tight spot. What do you do?
Exactly. You might start eyeing those old family heirlooms,
Yeah.
once tucked away, thinking about selling them just to buy a bit more time.
A short-term fix, maybe, but with potentially big long-term consequences, losing something valuable.
And this isn't just some, family drama we're inventing. It's actually a pretty powerful snapshot of what's happening right now with Punjab's state finances.
Okay. So that's our focus today.
Precisely. We're going to dive deep into Punjab's current struggle with some serious budget problems and a pretty controversial solution the government's looking at: monetizing vacant government lands.
Turning unused public land into cash, basically.
Yeah, and some people are already calling it selling the family silver.
That's quite a label. It really frames the debate, doesn't it? How these immediate money pressures are forcing a look at strategies, sparking this whole discussion about fiscal responsibility, public assets.
Absolutely. So in this deep dive, our mission is to unpack all the layers of this story for you. We'll look at the huge financial pressures Punjab is under, the plans that, didn't work out.
The failed Plan A.
Exactly. And this bold new strategy, Plan B, that's getting all the attention now. We'll explore why it's happening, what it could mean for everyday folks in Punjab, and the longer-term picture. Get ready to understand the fiscal tightrope Punjab is walking.
Sounds like a critical issue to unpack.
Definitely. So, to really get a grip on this money mess, let's stick with our household analogy. Think of the state budget like your own monthly finances.
Okay. Income and outgoings.
Right. You have earnings, there's revenue coming in from taxes, various fees, maybe some grants from the central government.
Your income streams.
And then you have your spending salaries for government workers, welfare programs, building roads, schools, all that infrastructure stuff.
The expenses.
Now, when that spending starts to really outstrip your earnings, you're deep in deficit. You're spending more than you make.
And often that means borrowing just to keep things running, right?
That's the reality. And for Punjab, the numbers, they paint a really vivid picture. A stark one, actually.
How stark are we talking?
Okay, so just between April and July of this year, that's only 4 months.
Yeah, a short period.
The government spent a whopping 41,352 crore rupees. Let's just say over 41,000 crore.
Wow, that's a huge amount in just 4 months. And the revenue coming in?
Well, that's the problem. The revenue trickling in during that same period, only about 30,662 crore. So roughly 30,500 crore.
Okay, so doing the math quickly, that's a shortfall of over 10,000 crore rupees.
Yeah, about 10,690 crore to be precise. A massive gap in just 4 months.
So how do they cover that? Borrowing, like you said.
Exactly. To cover that gap, they've had to borrow 12,191 crore. Again, over 12,000 crore borrowed.
Which just adds to the existing debt pile. It's a worrying cycle.
It really is. It's like taking out new credit cards just to pay off the minimums on the old ones. So what's driving this huge strain? It can't be just one thing.
No, you're right. It's a mix of factors. A big one is the state's heavy reliance on agriculture.
Which has always been Punjab's strength historically.
True, the breadbasket of India and all that. But now the rising costs for farmers, fertilizers, water getting scarcer, things like that, plus the significant subsidies the government provides to the sector, it's really straining the state treasury. It's vital support, but it's very costly.
And the returns aren't necessarily keeping pace.
Okay, what else? Well, then there are the, let's call them populist schemes, ambitious programs the government has rolled out.
Like the promise of, RS 1,100 a month to women?
That's one. And the big one is the free power for farmers. Hugely popular, obviously, but it costs billions every year.
Right, so these are expensive promises.
Exactly. It's a bit like hosting a massive wedding feast every month without, double-checking the bank balance first. These schemes resonate with voters, but they have a hefty price tag, and the state's struggling to fund them from its regular income.
How do economists measure this kind of pressure?
They often use the gross state domestic product, or GSDP. That's basically the total value of everything produced in the state in a year.
Okay.
And Punjab estimates its revenue deficit. The gap between its regular income and spending will be about 2.7% of its GSDP for the 2025-26 fiscal year.
2.7%. Is that high?
It's still a significant red flag. It means the state is consistently spending nearly 3% more than it earns, even before accounting for borrowing to fund big projects. It signals ongoing fiscal stress.
Okay, so facing this massive budget hole, the government obviously had to try something. They didn't just sit there.
No, they did try. They launched a major land-related plan earlier this year. That was Plan A.
Right, Plan A. Tell us about that one. The one that, spoiler alert, didn't end well.
Indeed. So back in May 2025, they rolled out the Land Pooling Policy 2025. The scale was pretty huge.
How huge?
They planned to acquire over 63,000 acres of land across 21 towns. The main goal was urban expansion, building new townships, infrastructure.
And making money from it, presumably.
Oh, definitely. They were aiming to generate about Rs 8,000 crore just this fiscal year from this policy. That money was earmarked for these new projects.
So how is it supposed to work, this pooling idea?
The basic idea was that farmers and other landowners could voluntarily pool their land with the government.
Voluntarily.
In return, they'd either get back developed plots in the new planned area, with roads, services, potentially more valuable, or they could opt for financial compensation.
So it was presented as a way to develop areas efficiently while compensating the owners. Sounds plausible on paper.
It does, but the reality, it backfired spectacularly.
What happened?
Almost immediately, there was a massive backlash. Farmers' unions, opposition parties like the Shiromani Akali Dal, the SAD, they raised serious alarms.
Just concerns or more than that?
Oh, much more. They vowed statewide demonstrations starting September 1st. They were ready to fight it.
Wow. What were their main arguments? Why the strong opposition?
Critics immediately branded it a land grab. The fear was that it would push out small farmers, people with small plots of land, and ultimately benefit big real estate developers.
The classic small farmer versus big developer narrative.
Exactly. And it wasn't just political noise. Even the Punjab and Haryana High Court expressed concerns, signaling potential legal hurdles and, questioning the fairness of it all.
So echoes of the farm law protests.
Very much so. That comparison was made often. It tapped into those same deep-seated fears about land rights and corporate influence.
So facing that kind of intense pressure, what did the government do? Stick to their guns?
Not this time. They caved. By August 11th, 2025, facing immense pressure from farmers, opposition, even the courts weighing in, the government withdrew the policy.
Just like that. Pull the plug.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The cabinet formally denotified it, canceled it, on August 14th.
And the reaction?
Well, for the opponents, it was hailed as a people's victory, another instance where collective action forced the government's hand. For the government itself, a significant embarrassment, and crucially, that potential Rs 8,000 crore revenue stream just vanished.
Oof. Leaving them right back where they started, or maybe even worse off, financially speaking.
Precisely. Plan A was dead in the water. Which brings us to Plan B.
Right. With Plan A, the land pooling policy completely gone, and that huge 8,000 crore hole in their budget plans, the government was clearly scrambling. They needed another way to bring in cash.
Absolutely. So this is where they effectively reached back into the archives, dusted off an older idea, and gave it a fresh coat of paint.
Okay, what was this older idea?
It's called the Optimum Utilization of Vacant Government Land Scheme. OUVGL for short. Now rebranded as OUVGL 2.0, this is their Plan B.
OUVGL 2.0. So optimum utilization sounds fancy. What does it actually mean in simple terms?
Basically, the plan is to identify government-owned land that's just sitting there vacant, maybe underused, or in some cases, even illegally occupied by squatters.
Okay, find the idle land. Then what?
Then turn these plots into valuable assets. They hand these identified lands over to the Punjab Urban Planning and Development Authority, which is PUD.
QD. Got it. What's their job?
PUD's role is to develop these lands. Depending on the location and market needs, they might turn them into residential areas, commercial centers, maybe industrial zones. They add infrastructure, make them ready for use.
So they're not just selling off raw, empty plots. They're trying to add value first.
Exactly. That's the idea. Make it more attractive, potentially fetch a better price. Once the land is developed, spruced up,
Then they sell it?
then it's auctioned off to the highest bidder. And the money raised from these auctions goes straight back into the state treasury. That's the much-needed revenue they're hoping for.
Okay, so this OUVGL idea, the 2.0, suggests it's not entirely new, right?
That's right. It's actually a revival of a scheme that was first thought up way back in 1997.
1997. Who came up with it then?
It was the coalition government at the time, the Shiromani Akali Dal, SAD, and the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP.
Interesting. So the current government's main rivals, originated the idea.
Well, yes. And even subsequent Congress governments have used this OUVGL mechanism over the years to generate funds when needed. It's a tool that's been in the state's financial toolbox for a while.
So what's the 2.0 about? What's the modern twist? Or is it just the same old plan?
The current government says they're doing things a bit differently this time. They claim they're focusing specifically on prime locations land with high potential value. They also say they're making a point of clearing any encroachments first before development.
Tackling the squatter issue head on.
Right. And tailoring the type of development, residential, commercial, more closely to what the market actually wants in that specific area. We saw the Chief Secretary, KAP Sinha, holding meetings just last week, trying to quickly identify suitable lands, build up a pool of properties ready for this process.
Trying to be more strategic about it, perhaps.
That seems to be the pitch.
Okay, let's try an analogy to make this super clear for everyone listening. Imagine you've got a local park in your neighborhood.
Okay.
But it's kind of overgrown, not really used much, maybe a bit neglected, just sitting there.
Seen plenty of those.
So instead of just letting it sit idle, imagine the local council comes in, cleans it up, maybe adds some benches, some lights.
Improves it.
Yeah. And then maybe they decide to turn a small, unused corner of it into, say, a little community cafe or a small center that can be rented out, generating some income for the council.
Ah, okay. Taking an underused public asset and making it productive.
That's OUVGL in a nutshell. Maximizing what you already own, making it work for the public purse instead of just letting it lie dormant.
Got it. Turning idle assets into active revenue streams.
Okay, so we understand the what, this OUVGL 2.0 plan. Now, let's talk about the why again and the really high stakes involved here. This isn't just a minor budget adjustment.
No, definitely not. The backdrop is critical. Punjab's debt is, frankly, staggering.
How bad is it?
As of March 2025, the state's total debt was estimated at Rs 3.82 lakh crore.
3.8 lakh crore. That sounds enormous.
It is. To put it in perspective, that's over 44% of the state's entire gross state domestic product, its GSDP.
Wow. Nearly half the value of the entire state economy is debt.
Yeah. And remember that borrowing figure we mentioned earlier? They borrowed another Rs 8,500 crore in July alone. The need for cash is intense and immediate.
So OUVGL looks like a way, maybe the only way they see right now, to get significant income without resorting to hiking taxes.
Which would be politically very unpopular, especially given the promises made. So yes, finding non-tax revenue is absolutely crucial for them, a fiscal imperative, you could say.
But, as we hinted, this plan isn't exactly being welcomed with open arms by everyone.
Far from it. The opposition is hitting back hard.
What are they saying? We mentioned the family silver line earlier.
That came directly from the Punjab Congress President Amarinder Singh Rajawaring. He put out a statement, I think it was on X, basically calling OUVGL an admission of bankruptcy.
Strong words.
Very. He said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, "You only start selling the family silver once you've become completely bankrupt after squandering everything else."
Ouch. That really frames it as a desperate last resort measure, doesn't it? Depleting core assets.
Exactly. That family silver idiom is powerful. It evokes this image of a once proud family having to pawn its inherited treasures because times are tough. It implies a short-term fix that eats away at long-term collective wealth, these government lands being public assets.
Is the criticism just about that, the principle of selling assets?
No, it goes deeper. The Congress Party has also been pointing fingers at rising government spending. They noted revenue spending was up by over 1,300 crore in the first quarter of this year compared to last.
So spending is going up.
While at the same time, they highlight that the grants Punjab receives from the central government have apparently halved this year.
So less money coming in from the center, more money going out in regular spending. It's a squeeze from both ends.
Precisely. That compounds a fiscal pressure significantly, and it's not just political opposition.
Who else is concerned?
Well, farmer groups who were central to defeating the land pooling policy are also watching OUVGL very closely. They're wary.
Why? This isn't directly about farmland, is it?
Not directly, no, but there's a lingering distrust, perhaps. A fear that OUVGL, if not managed carefully, could indirectly impact agricultural land or land use planning in ways that disadvantage farmers down the line.
Okay, so there's a history there. And speaking of history, this whole situation unfolds against the backdrop of Punjab's broader economic story, right?
Absolutely. It's crucial context. Punjab was the heart of the Green Revolution, India's breadbasket for decades, a story of incredible agricultural success.
But that success came at a cost.
It did. Now the state is grappling with serious long-term consequences.
Hmm.
Severe groundwater depletion, soil fatigue from intensive farming, and this mountain of debt, which has nearly doubled just since 2017. It's a really complex legacy.
So it's a state facing multiple deep-rooted challenges. Is this kind of land monetization unique to Punjab?
Not at all. Many states in India use similar strategies. Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, they've done it. Tamil Nadu monetizes land specifically for IT parks. Maharashtra auctions urban plots for housing projects. It's a common tool.
Are there lessons from those other states? Pitfalls to avoid?
Definitely. Success varies. For instance, Karnataka faced a major backlash over land allotments that were accused of favoring certain individuals or companies. Transparency and fairness are absolutely key. If the process isn't seen as clean, it can backfire badly.
So execution is everything. And OUVGL isn't the only thing Punjab is doing to raise funds, right?
Yeah.
There were those other efforts?
Correct. It's not their only play. The government is also making a push to recover old, unpaid dues.
Like what?
The finance minister announced they're intensifying efforts to recover overdue excise taxes related to alcohol, primarily. They've apparently collected about Rs 1.85 crore so far this fiscal year from that.
Okay, every little bit helps, I suppose.
And they've also greenlit auctions for 27 properties linked to defaulters, hoping to recover around Rs 20 crore starting this September.
So it's like finally chasing down those old IOUs you find in a drawer.
Pretty much. It's a smaller piece of the puzzle compared to the potential scale of OUVGL, but it sends a message about trying to enforce fiscal discipline and collect all available revenues. It's part of trying to look like they're managing finances comprehensively.
Right. So let's bring in the expert perspective more formally. We've talked about the numbers, the plans, the politics. What do economic analysts say about Punjab's situation and this OUVGL approach?
Well, analyses, like those from PRS Legislative Research, consistently paint a picture of significant fiscal challenges for Punjab. The numbers we discussed earlier really bear that out.
The high debt, the deficit.
Exactly. And while the state budget for 2025-26 aims for an 8% increase in revenue receipts, hoping to bring in about 1,011,740 crore.
Which sounds positive.
Yep.
And didn't you mention good GST growth recently?
Yes, GST collection growth in July was a promising 32%. That's bright spot. But there's a huge but.
Okay, what's the catch?
The catch is where the money goes. Interest payments alone, just paying the interest on the existing massive debt, are projected to eat up nearly 23%, 22.72% to be exact, of the state's total revenue receipts.
Wow. Almost a quarter of all income just goes to servicing old debt.
Precisely. That leaves precious little money for everything else, investing in growth, new development projects, even basic services sometimes feel the squeeze. It severely limits their fiscal space.
So it's a constant struggle just to stand still, financially speaking.
Right.
What's the recommended path forward then? What's the balancing act?
Most experts agree that long-term, Punjab desperately needs to diversify its economy beyond agriculture, boosting manufacturing, developing tourism, other sectors that's key for sustainable growth.
But that takes time, right?
Yeah.
An investment they might not have right now.
Exactly. It's a long-term project. So in the interim, schemes like OUVGL could potentially provide a bridge, a way to generate funds needed for immediate pressures and maybe even kickstart some of that diversification. But, and it's a big but.
It has to be done right. Exceptionally well, maybe.
Exceptionally well is a good way to put it. And that brings us to the key challenges for OUVGL 2.0. What could make or break this plan?
Okay, let's list them. What's hurdle number one?
First, encroachments. We touched on this. Can the government actually clear these lands effectively and fairly without displacing vulnerable people living there, sparking local conflicts, or repeating the kind of backlash seen with the land pooling policy? That's a huge practical and political challenge.
Okay, clearing the land without major new problems. What's next?
Second, sustainability. Can the development actually be sustainable? Will they manage to generate revenue while also preserving necessary green spaces, considering environmental impacts? Or will it be development at any cost, creating new problems down the road?
A critical balance. Environment versus revenue. What else?
Third, transparency. This is crucial, especially given experiences elsewhere. Will the auction process for these developed lands be genuinely fair and open? Or could it be susceptible to rigging, favoritism towards connected players, or corruption? Public trust hinges on this.
Absolutely. If people think it's rigged, the whole thing loses legitimacy. And the final challenge.
Perhaps the most fundamental. Purpose of funds. Where will the money actually go? Will the revenues generated from selling these public assets be used responsibly, funding essential services, investing in long-term economic growth, maybe paying down some debt? Or will it just get funneled into funding more short-term populist schemes, essentially papering over the cracks without addressing the deep-seated fiscal problems, using the family silver to pay for the monthly groceries, so to speak?
Those are some really significant hurdles. It highlights how complex this is. So what's the potential impact here? Best case, worst case for Punjab?
Well, best case scenario, if OUVGL 2.0 is implemented transparently, efficiently, and sustainably,
If they overcome those challenges.
yes, it could genuinely provide a much-needed injection of funds. It could create jobs in construction, real estate-related services. It could help stabilize finances in the short to medium term and maybe even fund some productive investments.
Okay, that's the upside. What's the downside if it goes wrong?
If it's botched, if the process lacks transparency, if it leads to unfair displacement, if the funds are seen as being mismanaged or wasted,
Then what?
then it could easily fuel more public anger and protests. It could further erode trust in the government, which is already fragile after the land pooling U-turn. And politically, it could become a major liability, especially with elections always looming on the horizon in India's dynamic political landscape. The stakes are really high.
Okay. So as we bring this deep dive to a close now, we've really journeyed through Punjab's difficult financial landscape.
We have, from that dramatic collapse of the land pooling policy.
Yeah, Plan A flaming out. To this current reliance on Plan B reviving the old OUVGL strategy, monetizing government lands.
We've looked at the government's ambitious promises, often clashing with the stark realities shown in its balance sheet.
And that heavy label that keeps coming up, selling the family silver. It really captures the tension, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And what this deep dive hopefully reveals is that this isn't just about, boring policy details or abstract financial numbers.
No, it's much more human than that.
It's about the future of a state with incredibly resilient people, from the farmers in the fields of Malwa to the entrepreneurs in the markets of Amritsar.
And they deserve stability, they deserve prosperity. These decisions directly impact that.
They really do. These choices will shape Punjab's path forward.
Absolutely. So it leaves us with a big question, really. As Punjab tries to navigate these incredibly tough financial waters, what does it truly mean to preserve your family silver, your public assets for future generations?
While also trying desperately to meet urgent, immediate needs. Food on the table today versus saving for tomorrow.
Exactly. How do you strike that incredibly delicate balance between spending wisely today, earning smartly, and ensuring long-term health and prosperity, without depleting the very assets that belong to everyone?
It's a fundamental question of governance, not just for Punjab, but really for any government, any community facing hard choices about public resources and future well-being.
A challenging thought to leave you with. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.